So this is Python idle platform, and today we are going to develop a rock paper scissors game on this Python idle platform. Now the first thing is we need to import rand int from the random module. Okay, so this is how our computer opponent will play, and after that we will create a list of play options. So in order to import the rand int module, we can write down this thing from let's say random import rand int. Fine, so this is the module which we need to import first. After this we need to create a list of play options. So for doing the same, we can make use of a variable, let's say t, or else let me write down here, create a list of play options. So this is what we are doing right now. We will create a list of play options using this variable t. We can do that, and the first option that I'm going to enter here is rock. Then it is paper. Okay, and last one is this scissors. Okay, once you're done with entering the required items, so what you have to do now, the next step, next we need to set up our players, the computer and you. So for doing the same, what we can do, we can assign a random play to the computer. Assign a random play to the computer. Now how are we going to do this thing? So for assigning a random play to the computer, we can make use of a variable, let's say computer, and to this we are going to assign a random value using this rand int module. Okay, now why I have selected 0, 2 over here? Remember that computers start counting at 0. So rock is in 0 position and paper is in 1 and so on. Okay, so that's the reason I have mentioned over here 0, 2. Okay, now the second thing that we need to do is we need to set the player to false. Why? We are going to discuss it later on. So we need to set the player is equal to false. Now let's talk about the while loop which we need to define over here for this rock paper scissors game. The first thing that we need to write down is while player. So if the player's value is equal to false, then what should happen? We need to set player to true first. Okay, this is the first thing that we need to do. Now how can we do this thing? By this simple command, player input, and after that it is, so we need to make a selection out of these three options, rock, paper, and then it is scissors, right? So from these three items we need to, the player is required to make the selection. Now if the player will select computer, if the player is equal to computer, okay, so we need to define a condition for this first. So we would like to see this thing in the output part, let's say tie. So the match is going to be tie if the player is computer itself. Else if player selects this thing, let's say rock, then what should happen? Just a second. So if the player selects rock, so in case if the computer is equal to let's say paper, then who is the winner? Okay, I have made, there is an error over here which I have made. Let me just write down the whole code here once again. I haven't put the colon over here, so that's the reason I got a syntax error. Now if the computer, see, if the player is equal to rock, and for this if the computer is equal to paper, so what does this mean? It means that you lose, right? That's what it means. The player is going to lose, and computer, we can write down this thing let's put it in double inverted commas, and computer, then let's say covers. Okay, and after this we can write down player. Okay, so I would like this thing to get printed in the output part. Fine. Now let's define an else condition for this if loop. Just a second, let me adjust the size of this window over here. Yeah, now it is fine. So else I would like this thing to get printed in the output part. You win, and it should be player in place of computer, and then it should be let's say smashes. Okay, this seems to be a nice word, smashes. Player smashes computer. Okay, now let's close this bracket and come in this next line. Now we are done with defining the if loop for this condition, a player equal to rock. Now in the same way we are going to define the else if loop for this condition also, if player is equal to paper. So it's a very simple thing, you guys can do it without any mistake, I think. Again, I forgot to put the colon after this. Yeah. So if the player is equal to paper, then I would like, so for this, if the computer is going to select, let's say scissors, fine, and then okay, again I have got an error over here. It's because I am not putting the colons over here. Fine. So if the computer is equal to scissors, so it should print this thing. I am copying these two lines and putting it just after this one. Okay, now let's come on this line, and we need to now define the condition, the else if part for this condition. If player is equal to, this is the last thing which we need to do, if it is equal to scissors, so then what should happen? Again I'm going to copy these four lines of code from here, and I'm going to put it over here. If computer is equal to it should be rock, right? Yeah, it should be rock, then only the computer is going to win. Okay, otherwise what should happen? The player will win. After defining the conditions for all these three things, player equal to rock, player equal to paper, and player equal to scissors, the last thing that we are required to do is we need to define an else part for all the else if loops. Okay, so that's how we can do it. Else it should get printed. That's not a valid play. Fine. And or else we can also do it like this. Check your spelling. It may be possible that the user might make a mistake while writing this paper or rock or scissors. So we can ask him to check the spelling. Fine. Now let's run this code that we have written over here and see what is the output we are going to get. So it is asking for us to select from these three options something. Let's write down rock here and see what's going to happen. See, so this is the output I'm going to get. You win, rock smashes scissors. Okay, so one more thing that I would like to tell you over here is this. See, where is that while loop? Okay, this is the one. Now, once the while loop starts, the computer will patiently wait for you to make a play, right? As soon as you take your turn, your status will change from this false to true. Okay, change from false to, and because any value assigned to the variable player makes player true. So these values that you are assigning to the player, they are going to make the value of this player change from false to true. Okay, we use the input function. The input function that we have used over here, where is that? Yeah, we use the input function to pass the new value to the variable player. Your input will determine which statement is triggered below. If your input is suppose rock, then these are the lines which are going to get executed. If the input is paper, then these lines are going to get executed, and in case if it is scissors, then this part will get executed. Okay, we use else at the end to catch anything that isn't rock, paper or scissors. Fine. So that's how we have developed this game. So it's a very simple code that you guys can write down and in order to make this simple rock paper scissor game. Hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please do like and subscribe to my channel, and also please do share the link of this video with the other students so that they can also enjoy these free online coding classes on my channel which I am giving. Thank you very much. God bless you and namaste.